codes to create a quantum leap in your business. With that said, and jump right in, number 9. And that one is be careful who you're doing business with. And so in a presentation I gave last week, the first time I shared these 10 cheat codes, I said, don't do business with idiots. And with that said, you have to be careful because of the fact that with the microphone that everyone has now, which is social media, it's easy for messages from folks that maybe are not qualified to help you for whatever reason to get to you. And in return, the result is that you may be working with someone who just does not have the skill set to be able to serve you. And so with that said, I spoke with a professional whom I respect. I think he's a high quality guy. He recently spent 5 figures, somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 on some professional help. And from what he relayed to me, he did not receive any of the actionable steps that he was promised with regard to that help that he had contracted. And he took that money out of his savings to make that happen. That's not the only time that I've heard of something like that happening. And so I talked with our martial arts instructor, and he said he knows of several martial arts instructors who also contracted help. And the first person I mentioned is not in martial arts. And I just want to make that distinction. But when I talked to our martial arts instructor, he said there was at least a couple people that he was aware of that spent $10,000 to $12,000 to contract professional help, and they did not receive results that they were promised. And so with that said, you have to be very careful. So how are you careful? And I'm going to build this out, and then I want to build out another piece of it today because I think it's really important. And it's not exactly related, but it's close. So with that said, how do you know? Well, I think if you're going to interview someone and you want to know whether they are qualified to help you, the best way to do it is start asking questions and ask a lot of them until you have satisfaction that they know what they're talking about, also that they understand what you're doing, and that they have a way of helping you. And how do you ask those questions? Well, I would say ask them for 3 examples of how they've helped other clients, and ask them to be very detailed and tell them that to win your business, a lot is riding on their responses. And so when they give you those 3 examples, they may be canned examples that they share with all the people that they talk to about potentially serving them with whatever it is that they offer. And this could be anything from coaching services, it could be consulting, it could be marketing services, it could be whatever contracted service or product that you can think of. But so here's the thing. They give you 3 examples, ask them to be as specific as possible. But then once they've given you those 3 examples, you're going to have an idea of whether you think that based on their examples alone, that they're going to be able to help you. But sometimes it may not be immediately clear whether they can help you or not. So how do you take it a step further? Well, ask the person that has just given you those 3 examples to then take those 3 examples and put them into something that they would say would be custom to you, and say, I would like you to describe how you would take those 3 examples that you just mentioned to me from previous clients, and how would you customize that solution that you provide each one of those clients to serve me. And so with that said, they're either going to be able to do that or they're not. And here's the thing that you're going to find. You're going to find a group of folks that are going to say, oh gosh, that's proprietary. I can't tell you how I would help you. We'd have to, work together in a relationship and stuff like that. And when you hear that, it's probably a good time to start packing up shop. And here's why. There's knowledge everywhere. There's information everywhere. We are in the information age, and we are moving into the AI age. And with that said, like literally at your fingertips, you can find so many solutions. And if someone is so focused on protecting their quote intellectual knowledge, I would be very wary of if they can help you or not, because of the fact that true experts and true masters of their craft are not concerned about sharing some value-added information and whether you're going to take it and run with it or not. The people that are gifted and know that they can serve you, they're going to outline in an understandable way how they can serve you, and they might go into some additional steps and stuff like that. And obviously they're not going to build out the whole thing for you in advance for free, because that would be not a great way to run a business. But with that said, they are going to be very generous with their time. They're going to say, hey, these are the steps based on these 3 clients. I would pull this one from this client of how we did that. I would pull this one from this client and that second piece from that client. And then this client over here, I would pull these 3 pieces. And we would put those pieces together in this way to serve you on a custom basis. And so with that said, I would say if you are considering professional services, that's a great way to go about it, is to ask them to give you general examples with specific information within those examples. Like, so 3 clients that they have helped in the past, and then after they've shared those stories with you, ask them to take it a step further and do a blue sky opportunity, big thinking type picture of how they foresee those 3 examples in something custom, and ask them to describe that to your satisfaction. Now, here's the thing. The larger the project gets, so like if you're working with someone who's going to be providing you some sort of services and it's a $500 contract, well, depending on your business, like $500 might be a lot of money to you, or $50,000 might be a lot of money to you, or you may treat every single interaction that you have with contracted work the same and say, look, it's my money. I want to make sure that I'm spending it correctly. The bigger the company gets, the harder it is to look after those little $500 purchases, but those can eat you alive too. What I'm getting at is that it's critical for you to decide how deep you want to go with this person based on how big the project is. But the bigger the project, the more questions that you should be asking. Also, I would ask, if you're going to be working with someone on a contracted work basis, not only for 3 references, but then ask them to connect you with a client that maybe the situation didn't turn out so well. And I know that's a crazy ask, and people are like, well, they're never going to connect you with that person. Well, anybody who really believes in their work is probably going to say, you know what, that's a tough ask. Let me think about it. Or maybe they already know, but maybe they're going to say, you know what, I'm going to tell you that this did not turn out the way that I wanted it to, but if it's really important to you and it helps you to understand that I did my very best, it did not turn out the way that I wanted to, here's the contact details for that client that it wasn't the best outcome, then that person really is transparent, and there's a lot more trust that can be built out of transparency and the fact that they're authentic, that not everything went perfect every single time that they've worked with the client. And if someone has just the perfect record, that's probably a situation where it's like, do you really have a perfect record, or how many things are you hiding? So with that said, I want to talk about a little bit more that's kind of like a little sidecar. It's partially related. So online, you're going to be getting feedback, and I'm probably going to get potentially some feedback on this video. And so I don't know, it was 3, 4, or 5 weeks ago or something, I posted a video on the 5 words that you need to be careful with using. And I even encourage people not to use those words like pitch and target and drip. And I don't remember what the other couple words were off the top of my head, but those were 3 that were in the video. So here's the thing, everybody's, oh, that's really great, really resonates with me. Nice comments, supportive comments, and that's great. And then there's this one person who says, blah, 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 get to it, blah, 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 and like completely ripped it apart and how it was delivered and stuff like that. Now, here's the thing. I probably do share a few more words that are necessary to get the point across. I think everybody does, unless they're doing videos every day. But with that said, the comment could have been handled in a much more professional way. And that individual lost all credibility because of the fact that it didn't really seem there was an opportunity for growth and constructive criticism as much as it was just, hey, I want to indict someone on a social networking platform. And the result is that I'm just going to say whatever I want to. Now, what that does is any potential to help grow is diminished because of the fact that the way that it was delivered was not very professional. And so with that said, I would say that if you're going to have an online presence as a professional and as potentially as a business owner too, you need to be ready for that. And here's a few things strategy wise that you may look at as you are putting your online presence out there. Like, your friends are going to be nice to you, and that's great. And you certainly want people to be nice to you. That's great too. But sometimes friends are nice to a fault, and you have to kind of weigh that a little bit, and just keep that in the back of your mind that there's always room for improvement. Your friends are always rooting for you. So if someone really endeavors to give you some constructive feedback, here's some things to kind of consider as to whether it's meaningful and really has the best intent in mind or not. So if someone sends you a private message and says, hey, I really liked your video, here are some thoughts on, and they say, I really like the fact that the points that you made, however, the lighting in your video was not very favorable, or you say a lot in your video or something like that. That's someone who probably cares about the content, and they care about trying to help you grow as a professional. great. You probably should listen to that person because of the fact that they're telling you what they like, and then they're also telling you what you can improve upon. If someone in an open forum just starts laying into you about what you're bringing forward, and you really are trying to bring it forward with a good heart, you're trying to create positive content that helps build up professionals around you and groups around you and stuff like that. If they're just laying into you, it's probably kind of hit or miss on whether that feedback is good or not. And what I mean by that is like, if they have a professional picture, and let's say that they, you look at their profile and the profile looks good and stuff like that, and they're just laying into you, well, they either lack emotional intelligence because they could have done that in a private message rather than ripping you apart in front of everybody else. There could be something that they're suffering with that you obviously have no control over. That's a thing. It could be a fake profile, depending on how big the profile is. Like, there's a lot of fake profiles on platforms, and LinkedIn is getting very inundated with these profiles. Like, I get requests that are exactly like the word for word the same, like, oh, your profile looks amazing and you have good experience and we should talk about special opportunities and stuff like that. There's so many of these fake profiles out there. So if you get some feedback, you kind of have to weigh it. And so the feedback that I got, a couple of weeks ago, I didn't really weigh it very heavily. Yeah, it kind of stung a little bit when I first saw it, because it was like, just like blah, 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 get to the point or something like that. And well, I guess he has a point. I do tend to share a few more words that are necessary to get the point across, but that's just my communication style. But the way that in which it was delivered was not kind. It was not constructive criticism. It was just trying to troll someone. And so he succeeded at trolling, but what a great profession to be in is trolling. And here's the thing, like, this person was, if in fact the profile is true, is a degreed medical professional, which, obviously doesn't look good for someone who has those type of credentials. So with that said, I think you just kind of have to go and look at what is their intent. Is the profile legit? Do you know the person? Do they have any sort of standing? Do they seem to have your best interest in mind, or are they just trying to troll you to make themselves feel better, make their content look better, perhaps that sort of stuff. There are literally people in various professions that are paid to make other professionals, look bad and stuff like that, or to put them down. So it's crazy that type of situation exists, but it does. So you just need to keep that in mind. So hopefully you enjoyed this today. I'll be back later this week. We've got 2 more strategies, but just, kind of keep those things in mind about how you're interacting with professionals, and, weighing whether a professional is a good, person to partner up with or to listen to. So have a great day. Good to see you. Get outside. It's beautiful out here in South Dakota. Hopefully it's nice where you are too.